What's going on, everyone? My name is Brandon with BiggerPockets.com, and today I wanted to walk you through some of the ways that I get a lot of stuff done in life. You know, like I write books, I have a podcast, the BiggerPockets podcast. I've got a little toddler at home. I help out with my church youth group. I do a lot of stuff every single day, and a lot of people wonder how I get so much accomplished. And so I want to go over 25 different ways that I'm incredibly productive during the day. And hopefully some of these things will help you in your life as well. So number one, the first thing I do is I'm very proactive about being productive. In other words, I've made it a goal of my life. I say I'm going to always find ways to optimize my life and to do a better and better job. Make sure that I'm very proactive. So ask yourself, are you really intent on doing a better job? Or is this just something that you're thinking it would be nice to have? Or are you committed to a productive and effective lifestyle? All right, moving on. Number two, outsource the small stuff. In fact, anything in my life, like mowing the lawn or even sometimes grocery shopping, I outsource to other people. And here's why. On average, like everything we do in life has $1 per hour you could attach to it, right? So on average, like mowing the lawn is probably $20 an hour. Going to the store is probably like $15 an hour, right? Negotiating a gigantic real estate deal on an apartment complex, $10,000 an hour, right? So everything we do has $1 per hour that we want to attach to it. So I simply say the things that are lower dollar per hour value in my life, I'm going to outsource away so I can add in a few more of the $100, $200, $1,000, $10,000 an hour tasks. So number two is the outsource the small stuff. All right, number three, I batch small tasks, similar tasks. For example, email, right? Email is annoying. We all have to do it though. But rather than every single hour or every 2 hours checking my email, I batch it. I typically only get through my email maybe every week or even 2 weeks sometimes. I get it knocked out all at one time. Because if you think about it, when you work on certain projects, it takes time to like ramp up to it, to get working on it. So if let's say every time you checked your email, you're losing an hour of productivity outside of the actual email, a half hour before, a half hour after, or even 15 minutes before and after. But if you do it all in one, you only have one setup and one slowdown later. That's why I batch small tasks as much as humanly possible. I lead music at my local church, and so one thing I do is every week I could sit down and plan the music for that coming Sunday. But instead, I batch the next 3 to 4 months in one shot. Spend a good hour or two doing it all at one time. I'm already in the zone in the moment, so I'm just gonna keep going. So again, batch the small tasks. All right, number four, don't watch too much TV. Now, I'm not opposed to TV. I love watching certain shows. I love my Netflix. However, I limit that down to maybe an hour a day at most. The average person spends, 4 or 5 hours on TV? Think how much time that adds up to over the course of a week, a month, a year. So you simply need to ask yourself, how important is whatever you're trying to accomplish in life? Again, there's nothing wrong with TV if that's the goal of your life is to watch more TV. But my guess is you have other things you want to accomplish as well. So limit the amount of time you're watching TV. All right, number five is focus on the 80-20 rule. In other words, 20% of what you do will give you 80% of the results. It's kind of just a law of nature, so to speak. So like, what few things in your life make the biggest difference? I'm constantly asking myself that, what is the most important things I can do? For example, making videos like this one is a very important thing for me to do. It builds both personal branding, it can help a lot of people at scale, versus if I answer every single email I get, that's very much not in the 80-20. So I'm always focused on what's the 80-20 in my life. Another example of that would be my rental properties. I looked at all my properties and said, hey, look, 20% of my properties is giving me 80% of my income. Well, why do I own the other 80% then? So I sold off a bunch of my properties and I left myself with the ones that are the most efficient, most effective, and the highest performing. All right, moving on. All right, number six, never sit down without knowing exactly what you're gonna work on. So this is a huge problem. People, they get into like, I'm gonna go to work now, and they go to their desk or they go to whatever they're gonna go do. Like, all right, now it's time to go work, and what am I gonna work on today? And you spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour checking your email, making a phone call, but you're not like intentional on what exactly you're going to be working on. So I make it a goal in my life to hardly ever, I never get to my desk if I don't know exactly what I'm gonna be working on that day. So I plan it ahead of time, and we'll get to that one later, I think, but I take time to plan what I'm gonna do every day, so that way there is no, what should I do today time. So again, just make sure you know exactly what you're gonna do when you're going to work on it, and be intentional about planning it. And on that note, number 7, time block activities. In other words, sit down and say, when am I gonna work on certain things, right? If you wanna buy a piece of real estate, or you wanna start a business or whatever, you wanna build a website, doesn't matter what you wanna do, right? When are you gonna put on your calendar to do it? Because if you don't put on your calendar, it's not gonna ever get done. So time block your activities. All right, number 8, wake up earlier. I know you're not a morning person, and I was not either, but what I found is that when you wake up earlier, it doesn't have to be like 3 a.m. I'm just wake up a little earlier and set that time aside for intentionality and yourself. In other words, say, this is time I'm gonna be alone and I'm gonna plan my day. I'm gonna get in the right mindset, the right mood. Maybe I'm gonna do a little education, read a book or listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video if it's educational. And just like get into the right mindset for the day. I mean, attack the day. Don't live reactively like, oh, the day's happening to me, but I'm gonna go out there and go attack the day. All right, number 9, don't multitask, like making a video while walking down the road. No, really, like we multitask all the time with things. Like I can do multiple things at once. I can check my email while listening to this thing or watching this. Like our minds don't work that way. If you really want to accomplish something, dedicate 100% of your time to that one activity until it's done, and then move on to the next. I mean, you can look at study after study done showing that multitasking simply makes you worse at everything. So find ways to stop multitasking and focus instead. All right, number 10, stop watching the news. Seriously, we talked about TV already, but just news in any way, magazines, blog news, any news, right? It's all negative, almost all the time negative, and usually just put in there to spark you some emotional, like, oh, I gotta get mad now. It puts you in a bad mood. And like, honestly, if you wanna know more about what's going on in the news, ask somebody, hey, what's going on in the news today? I learned that tip from the 4-Hour Work Week, and it's been huge in my life, is stop spending so much time watching, listening, reading the news. You can get the important things, the things that actually affect your life, by just talking to family and friends, and you'll get better at conversation that way as well. All right, number 11 goes for people who maybe have to work at home, whether it's a full-time job or you're trying to build a side business. But if you're working at home, make sure you have a separate place to go. I know, like we talked about multitasking already, but I'll re-emphasize it here. If you're working at the same time the TV's on and your kids are running around and your husband or wife is asking you questions, you're not going to be in the moment in your work. If you want to work, you need to be more focused in your work. So whatever you're doing, just really focus in at the time. And to do that, you need a separate place to work. So find a separate place to work and then work diligently during that time. Make it your little sanctuary that everyone recognizes. When you're in your sanctuary, you're not going to be bothered. All right, number 12, focus on being effective, not just efficient. Right? So efficiency is like, hey, I can get a lot of stuff done in a certain amount of time, but effectiveness is, are you doing the right things, right? So you might be super, super good at checking email, right? You're very efficient. You can get through all your emails, but are you avoiding the work that actually matters in exchange for being efficient, right? So I would just encourage you to constantly ask yourself that question. Am I being effective or am I being just efficient? All right, number 13, sharpen your axe. So what I mean by that is, there's that old quote, I think Abraham Lincoln maybe said it or they applied it to him, that says, if I had 5 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 4 sharpening my axe, right? In other words, look ahead at your schedule, at your jobs, at your tasks, and find out what can you do ahead of time to prepare yourself for what's coming, later on. For example, when I write a book, right? So when I write a book, I could just show up every day and start writing. But if I spend hours, maybe 8 to 10 hours outlining that book, it'll save me hundreds of hours down the road because I've already done the hard work. All right, number 14, say no a lot more than you are. Ask yourself every time somebody asks you to do something, ask yourself, is it really worth doing it to say no to the other things? I mean, every yes is a no to everything else, right? So if you're trying to say yes to, I'm gonna go help out this person, fine, that's great. You can go help out that person, but you're also saying no to something else. So always weigh those options. In fact, somebody wise once told me that every yes is a no to your wife and kids. And I thought that was such an inspirational line, is like, if I say yes to somebody, if somebody wants me to come speak at an event or, go and change a toilet, if I say yes to any of those things, I have to know that I'm robbing my family of time with me, and I need to make that trade-off. Not that that's always bad, but we just need to recognize that every yes is a no to something else. All right, number 15, social media. You probably spend way too much time on it. Cut that out of your life. A little bit of social media is fine, but find ways to stop that. For example, there's a Chrome extension called Newsfeed Eradicator. What it does is when you go to your Facebook, you can see when people tag you. You can see when there's, you have things you need to actionably do, but you don't have your news feed. It actually kills your news feed, so you can't even see what's going on. So you gotta avoid the scroll. Again, social media is great for keeping in contact with people and learning things, but we just tend to get caught in the scroll of just I'm killing time on social media. Stop killing time and start investing your time. All right, number 16, shorten your deadlines. So there's a famous rule of thumb out there called Parkinson's Law. I don't know if you call it a rule of thumb, but Parkinson's Law, and it basically says that whatever amount of time you give something is what it's gonna take to get it done. So if you have 3 weeks to work on a project, it's probably gonna take you 3 weeks, but if you gave yourself 12 hours to work on it, you'd probably finish in 12 hours. For example, with rental properties, if I gave myself a year to buy my first, or a rental, I'd probably do it in a year. If I gave myself 3 weeks to buy it, guess what? I'd probably get it done in those 3 weeks, because the choices we make are gonna depend on the timeline we have to get them done. So shorten your deadlines. Number 17, review your goals regularly. For example, every morning I get a text message from my phone sent to me that says, here's what your goals are. And every single morning I check that and I go, oh yeah, that's right, I go. When you keep your goals in the back of your mind, your reticular activation system, which is like your subconscious brain pulling things out of the world to try to get you closer to your goals. So I tell your subconscious over and over and over, this is what I want, and your brain will find ways to get closer to that, right? So if every morning you woke up and you knew you reviewed your goals, you're gonna lose 20 pounds. Every single day you saw that goal that you're gonna lose a certain amount of weight, the choices you make consciously and subconsciously all day will get you closer towards that, because your brain knows that's what you really want. Number 18, I don't answer my phone, and you shouldn't either. There's this like philosophy or belief that a ringing phone needs to be answered, but in reality, it doesn't. Let it go to voicemail. Just stop answering your phone every time it rings. You know, we live so reactively, like somebody calls me, I have to answer it. No, I will return that phone call if and when I want to, right? Because I own my time. I don't live my time according to somebody else's agenda. So stop answering your phone so much. Number 19, do what you love. If you want to feel like you're just on fire getting a ton of stuff done, it usually happens when you're doing a project you love. So find ways in your life to do more things you love. For example, I love making YouTube videos like this. This is a lot of fun for me. And like I haven't thought about like anything the last 10 minutes while recording this, right? This is what I'm doing. I'm in the zone. I'm having a good time because I love doing this. So what do you love doing? And try to build a career, business, life around those things rather than around things you don't like. I mean, when's the last time I looked at a clock? Never, right? Because I love what I do. So to be more productive and more effective in life, love what you do. All right, and on that note, try to find more ways to get into flow. So that flow is a state where time disappears, kind of our focus on ourself disappears, and we just dive into the activity. Sports are really good for getting people in flow, right? You're not like playing ultimate frisbee out there, catching a frisbee and going, I wonder what time it is. You're just in the moment, you're like time disappears. And that happens in work situations as well. Try to get in flow. Find the activities in your life. Like think of it, when's the last time you got into flow? Just that peak state where you're just running on all cylinders. That's what you should be doing more of, because that's when you're gonna be most effective. All right, number 21, moderate your screen time. You are probably like me, you probably spend a ton of time on your phone all day long, but you're probably shocked at how much time really you're on your phone. So there's an app out there called Moment that I installed recently, and I put it on my phone, and I found out I was spending like 4 to 5 hours a day with my phone on, like screen time. It was crazy. And it's just like a text message here, a quick YouTube video there, just like randomly waiting in line for something, but it adds up over the course of a 24-hour day. It adds up to hours and hours of time. So find ways to track how much time you're spending on your phone, whether it's an app or probably an app, and then limit it, right? Set yourself, hey, I'm spending 4 hours a day on my phone. I'm gonna drop that to 2 hours. You save 2 hours a day from screen time. That's what, 14 hours a week, and 28, 56, that's like over 50 hours a month of time. So find ways to limit your screen time. All right, number 22, hire a coach. Now, I'm not saying go hire a $50,000, fancy coach. Just if you need something in your life that you want to get better at, like you want to be a better speaker, hire a speech coach. It's not going to cost that much money. If you want to lose weight, go hire a personal trainer, right? Sometimes in your life, you can find somebody who's already an expert at something and have them give you the shortcuts needed to excel. And that can cut down a huge amount of learning and testing and failing time, because you're just capitalizing on somebody else's experience. Number 23, join a mastermind group. It doesn't have to be like a paid coach. A mastermind group can be 3 or 4 people get together that have similar goals, and once a week you get together and you say, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. What do you guys think? Or here's my plan, any suggestions? And people just bounce ideas off each other. And it's kind of like this group accountability towards trying to improve your life. So a mastermind group can be a fantastic way to stay moving forward and have an edge against the competition and against your own nature of wanting to be lazy. Number 24, a minute ago we talked about tracking your screen time. Number 24 is I want to encourage you to track everything that matters, right? If you're trying to lose weight, track the calories you ate. If you're trying to run a marathon, track how many steps you're walking every day or how many miles you're running every day. If you want to buy a piece of real estate, how many phone calls are you making to potential sellers? How many offers are you making? How many deals are you analyzing? What we track tends to improve, and what we don't track tends to decline. And so track what you want to succeed at in life and then watch it increase. And number 25, tip number 25 for being more effective and productive during the day is get really good at what you do. So many people are like this idea of being the jack of all trades, which is fine, but like what really matters in your life, like if you want to be, again, if you want to start a business, be the best business owner in your area. If you want to become a weightlifter, become the best weightlifter in your area. Like, stop trying to think of mediocrity, like I want to just be halfway decent at it. Be the best. Continually learn, continually grow, and ask yourself, how can I be the number one greatest person at this one thing, right? So again, if it's making YouTube videos, buying rental properties, flipping houses, whatever, become the best. And those are my 25 tips for becoming a productivity machine. For BiggerPockets.com, my name is Brandon Turner, signing off.